now on a dying Queensland father's desperate appeal to see his fully vaccinated son and daughter-in-law who are trapped in hotel quarantine in Sydney. This was the heartbreaking message recorded yesterday by Franz Killian from his hospital bed.
Every day they are in that hotel is a day less that I have with my son and daughter-in-law in my last days. Please, Queensland Health, show some compassion and help an old man see his son before it's too late. By all accounts, there is no danger to the Queensland community. I'm asking you, begging you actually, to let my son and his wife leave their quarantine to come here to be with me. It is my dying wish. Please.
How do you say no to that, huh? And Fran's son, Mark Killian, joins us now from his hotel in Sydney. Mark, I mean, your father's desperately ill in Queensland. You just want to see your dad, right?
We just want to be there for those last days, moments, the last I love you, Pops, the last. That's all we want. That's all of this is about.
Tell us about how difficult the last days and weeks have been then.
Well, I don't think we've ever experienced anything like this in our lives. It's been on a personal level absolutely tragic for our family. None of us wanted any of this, any of the media, any of this attention. But to be locked in a room in Sydney when all it would take is just the show of compassion by two people in government that could change the entire trajectory of a family's experience of the last days of their father. It's inconceivable that they would not allow that.
So when you say two people, who do you need here to act?
The Premier and the Health Minister of Queensland.
So, according to the Queensland government, there are some hoops to jump through here, and we can't believe that they haven't been jumped through these hoops. But they've got to be allowed out of New South Wales quarantine, and then there's got to be some transportation that happens to allow you to go to Queensland, and there've got to be some sort of things waived. Now, we get everyone's trying to work or facilitate that this morning from a Queensland perspective. Do you feel at least a little more confident that this might happen today or tomorrow?
Well, at least what happened yesterday is that we had the Premier of Queensland address the situation directly, even though not directly to us, just in the media. That is at least a development. And then we also got a letter from the Prime Minister, a personal letter to us from Scott Morrison, giving us his compassionate support and personal support, but also stating that the federal government has no ability to affect the state law. Meanwhile, the Premier of Queensland basically said the opposite. So it's a little bit of a passing the buck situation, but at least there's movement in the tree line here.
All right, so as it stands now, New South Wales has said you can leave quarantine in New South Wales, in Sydney, and go to Queensland. The federal government says we don't have a problem with it, but you've applied 4 times and you've been told no 4 times. You and your wife are both fully vaccinated and you've had numerous COVID tests. I mean, it does raise the question, what's the point of people even getting vaccinated if we can't show compassion in a moment like this?
Absolutely, and more than that, what is the point of getting vaccinated if being vaccinated doesn't affect how this disease travels through the community? That's the whole point of the vaccination. That's why in Los Angeles our figures are way different than they were 6 months ago. That's why the European Union is beginning to institute programs of, vaccination passports and cruise ships. It's because we understand the vaccination works. It's the future of how we combat this disease. This disease is going to be with us for a long time. This is how we do it. The science behind it is there. It's real. And the policy that is going on here is way behind what the science is. And it's and all through the lens of compassion.
If we can work through all this rubbish, if we can make this happen for you, there are going to be other people, I'm playing devil's advocate here, who say, I need to get through for compassionate reasons. How would you respond, and again, this is not me saying this, but how would you respond to people in a similar situation who may try and do the same thing?
I think, you know, what the problem is here, and in fact, we've been in touch with a number of people. In fact, I was just on a radio show a little earlier. The actual person I was speaking to, the host of the show, is in quarantine in exactly the same situation.
Yeah.
I think the problem here is, you know, on Queensland website, it says that they grant, you know, under exceptional circumstances, they will grant exemptions for quarantine. The problem here is it's extremely unclear. It doesn't state any examples of what that could mean. And so, for example, this morning, I'm just watching sports folks being able to move in and out. They have to quarantine, they have to self-quarantine at home, and they're allowed out for their training, but they are allowed to be exempt from hotel quarantine. Movie stars and all these things, politicians are traveling across states. There are exceptional circumstances granted. They need to be clear, or someone needs to tell us, why is our situation not an exceptional circumstance when a football player's seems to be? It's very unclear, and they need to be clear on a legal framework to the people that they represent.
Well, I mean, more than unclear, I think it's unfair. There seems to be one rule for some and another for everyone else. But in all of this, I mean, at the heart of this is your dad very sick in a hospital bed in Queensland. How is he holding up? And do you think you'll be able to see him again? And what would that mean to you?
Well, it would mean everything. Again, that's what all of this is about. You know, it's end of life is a funny thing. Well, it's not a funny thing. It's just so up and down, not by the day, but by the hour. My dad made the statement that you just played a little bit of. It took him 3 days to do that, just to muster up the energy, and he really wanted to do it, mostly to say thank you to all the people who've supported us on the Change.org campaign. But after he recorded that statement yesterday afternoon, we've not been able to talk to him. And I think it just tired him out so much. But we also, you know, every time we can't reach him on the phone, we're of course panicking, because you just don't know. It's just a horrible situation.
And Mark, you just want the chance to say what to him?
I love you, Pops, and everything that we're doing is because I am, because of what you are. I wouldn't be anything if it weren't for you. He's everything to me. He's my father.
Well said. I mean, I don't know how you deny that. Thank you for being with us. Keep fighting, and let's hope they see the light. Good on you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you,
Mark. We'll have more.